After long days on the farm, Usman's wife and 3 sons daily remind him of what is most important in his life: family.
Look at. See how?
He labors to offer them opportunities he almost would not have had.
If you consider my extended family, I mean my cousins, my nephews, there is about 300 of us, and I'm the very first one to earn a university degree. That didn't happen by chance. I remember when we were growing up, just immediately after my secondary school, and we started selling fuel. It was 1999-2000, and there was a lot of fuel scarcity. We also saw an opportunity to trade in the oil business, and I started with 1 keg. I immediately grew the business within a month to about 26 keg, and I was buying drums. Sometimes I'll buy up to 9 drums, and my dad was really impressed, and he called me one day and he's like, "Usman, what do you want to do with your life?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, I want to go to school." And he's like, "School? But you're doing well in your business." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think it's sustainable, so I really want to go to school." But here's the thing, while we're growing up, we didn't even understand what going to school means. We were just in secondary school for the sake of going to school. For instance, when I finished, I had only 4 credits. And I just wanted to have an education. So what I did was, in my mind, I'm like, okay, fine, I can't write JAM because I don't have 5 credits, so I would just go to the Polytechnic. My father supported the idea, of course. The reason was because my mom always told me, she said, "Look, there's just 2 of you, you'd have to go to school. Because you're my only male child, you'd have to go to school." I didn't understand why. And unfortunately or fortunately for me, she didn't live long enough to be able to explain to me why. So she died just when I was writing my SSC exams. But I knew what she wanted, and so I told my dad, "Look, I want to go to school." But luckily for me, because I knew exactly what I wanted, I got lucky and I was among some of the best students. That's how I got to ABU, and then did my first degree, finished my first degree. I remember very well when the admission list came out for ABU, my name came in on the business administration list, even though I applied for economics. And I said to my dad, "Look, I won't attend. I won't go to school. I'll just wait and apply for economics the next year." And my dad was like, "No, you don't have to do that. You see, education in itself is just, the degree in itself is just a proof. But the education is what matters. So go get the degree, but make sure don't only get the certificate, also get an education. And who knows, this is probably your destiny." So I took his advice and I went in. And well, here I am today. So I served in Lagos. That was another period of massive experience for me. I started serving in the bank, and then I was retained by the bank. But then I moved on to the downstream oil and gas sector. That was also a wonderful period. It was a period where in Nigeria, a typical young man, they would say he blew. Because I was only about 25 and I was controlling over 60 million liters of petroleum products, 14 filling stations in the north, and about 280 trucks. And at about 25 years, I had almost 300 people under me. And here I am with virtually no real experience in leadership and all of that. And that was when we registered Usefa International, now Usefa Agro-Allied, but at the time it was registered as Usefa International. All I knew was, look, I am going to be a businessman, I am going to be an entrepreneur, but I had no training, I had no coaching, no mentorship. I was just following the trend of things that are happening in my life. So when we registered it in September of 2008, we started trading in oil and gas. In 2010, the global economic crisis hit the Nigerian economy. That was another terrible experience for me. We saw all our holdings went down in thin air. For instance, if you had product at 145 naira at the time, in less than a week, it dropped to about 72 naira. Naturally, that means whatever your investment is, you have lost half of it. And that was a decision-making moment for me. And that was when I left and went to the UK to study. But because of my experience in the oil and gas sector, that influenced my choice of degree. So in my master's, I studied MSc in Energy Studies with specialization in Energy Finance. Again, with the hope that once I come back to Nigeria, I'll find a job. I mean, if I have a good degree in oil and gas and I'm good to go, and then when I come back, the IOCs will be there, and then I'll find a good paying job and move on with my life. But then I returned to Nigeria and reality set in. So there's no job. There's no IOC hiring. And then the degree was just a degree. So of course I took a lecturing job, which I didn't stay long on, before I moved to a World Bank project. And then because of my experience, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew as soon as I had an opportunity, I needed to start investing. And that has helped to shape and redirect my energy. And as soon as I got the opportunity, so we acquired the land and then started Usaifa Agro. So we made a conscious decision to move away from oil and gas or everything else that we've done in the past, and now focus our energy to agribusiness.
The only son of an industrious mother, Usman says her leadership was critical to his development.
When she died, I was only 16 years old. And it was a very trying moment for me because we were very, very close. So even surviving a day after she left was a big deal. For me, I was empty after that moment. But then soon enough, I began to really think back to the things that she taught me, either consciously or unconsciously. For instance, she was a very industrious woman. She always had one business that she's doing or the other. And I was everything to her. I was her salesperson, I was her accountant, I was her record keeper. So I knew virtually everything in the business. She actually got me into helping to run her business when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I remember then she would give me stuff in the tray. I would have all manner of things like, Maggi, soaps, all of the household items that is being used, and I would go from house to house trying to sell it. And she would give me a target. And she was like, okay, fine, if you sell this amount, then you get a commission. But she was training me as a business person, not as a child or her son. And all of these things I was learning unconsciously. It didn't really add up for me. But I mean, I look back now, the amount of love she put into, teaching me things and trying to bring me up in that way, I think that really, really helped. That has improved my savviness, that has that was responsible for my business sense and, the thinking that, look, no matter what happens, no matter how terrible things are, I can be able to do something out of even the worst situation.
In the story of Usman, we see that waiting on government for opportunity or solutions is to wait for a day which perhaps may never come. Without any formal education in agricultural studies, Usman's passion and independent determination enabled him to do what was hard in order to grow himself and empower others to live better lives. Stay focused, sow into others, and see how your efforts return a harvest to you. My name is Ajuri Ngilale. Until next time, lead where you are, and followers will find you.